So welcome, Sarah, and great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Melida. Thank you for the opportunity.
So
Thanks.
I would love to learn more about how you got your business started. So I heard that you started your business. Now I started my business around my baby when she was small, but you started your business around baby twins. How did you manage that?
Yes, our twins were 1 year old, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I wasn't challenged and I wasn't fulfilled, and I felt like there was a lot of potential inside of me that I still wanted to explore. And I was working at 20% at the time. That's just 1 day a week, and even that work did not speak to me the same way it used to. I knew something needed to change, but I would have never thought to start a business at that point. And then my Italian friend asked me to edit her German content and communication, written communication. And I started to do that, like on the side while they were napping. And then by word of mouth, 2 more clients came. So I ended up having a couple of hours of work to do. And only then did I start to think of starting my own business. Yes, as a child, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then later on, I learned a profession in the social industry, and that's not very typical to become an entrepreneur in the social industry. Yes, so now I'm a virtual assistant, and I realized after the start of the business that I was up for competition in Germany and in Austria, since we have the same language. And the pricing in those 3 countries are very different. So it was difficult to me to compete against those VAs. And some of them were doing what they did for years, and they had bachelors in their expertise. So I understood I had to specialize in one area where I was unique and I would not have to compete against international competition. Yes, so I ended up going for digital marketing and overall support for small local businesses, and mostly that's businesses run by women. And now we're a team of 3 women, and we split up the work according to expertise, and I really love it. Yes, and I'm so amazed that at this age and time and in this place that we live, I could change careers so radically at the age of 38. This was like an epiphany to me that made this whole school system and the grades and the diplomas and the papers and the bachelor's degrees. I looked at it differently. I think in order to succeed in life, that's not what carries you through. It's more values and soft skills like hard working and integrity and humbleness and resilience that make you succeed. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes that can be a bit of a trap when you've studied for so long for a specific type of career, like maybe you're a solicitor or a lawyer or an accountant, and then all of a sudden you think, but this isn't really what I want to do. It's really hard to step away from that and pivot and do something completely different. But we absolutely can. And there are so many women out there. And I think as women, we have a unique opportunity to explore that, because we do have these natural breaks in life when we have children. And so that's a great opportunity for us to reinvent how we operate and how we want to live our lives and what kind of work we want to do, and really focus our time on what's more meaningful and fulfilling for us. And I don't think men necessarily have those same punctuations in their career progression. So it's wonderful. And I've seen so many women who have, and myself included, taken that opportunity to do something different and discovered a whole new world of opportunity.
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur. And then you realize, once you build on your mindset, as you were saying, and you realize that it's not necessarily all about the academics, it's about all these other things are really, really important. Then once you have the right mindset, you can do anything. Okay, well, yeah, I find this really interesting. Let's go do that. There's no reason why you.
Exactly.
And it's so exciting. Scary at first, I think, but as you kind of start to realize how much you really can do, and who you want to be helping, and where you can add value into their lives, and because it's from that contribution that we get the real sense of value and fulfillment. It's really exciting. It's very addictive.
Yes, it is. It's true. And that transpires too. I might not be the, how do you say, like an expert. I am an expert, but I might not be the best in my field, but my attitude and the joy that I have in working, that is very attractive to my customers. It has value in itself, maybe even more than the techniques, because that can be learned. But it's the other things, like the joy in carrying out that attracts customers and is transpired. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as an entrepreneur, you have to be a people person. It doesn't mean you need to be an extrovert, but you need to be someone who enjoys working with people and can create these great relationships, because that's how you build a sustainable business. Because people, as you say, they enjoy working with you, so they come back, they bring their friends. But if you're just a misery guts, nobody's going to come to you. And if you're one of these negative Nellies, then you just push people away, and no one will want to work with you, and you won't attract the work that you need. I remember when I had a product business, and I was at an event, one of these kind of events where everyone has their own stand. And once there were two jewelry stands either side of me. One, the lady had all her things laid out flat on the table on black fabric, and sat behind the table and just crossed her arms and just looked so miserable. And then the lady the other side, she'd painted wooden wine boxes, and they were all white with this turquoise background. It looked so beautiful, very, very simple, but really effective. And she'd hung her jewelry up, and she stood at the front of the stand and smiled at everyone that went by. She sold out by the end of the day. Was a woman with the black background, didn't sell anything. No one came near her. And I remember like in the afternoon, she was like so miserable. She was, why is she getting all the sales and nobody's even looking at my stuff? And I was like, is that not obvious? I was like, well, she's really taking an effort to engage with people. She's in front of the stand smiling at people when they come near to welcome them. And she's like, oh, well, I'm just not that kind of person. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to get any sales. But it was so interesting to see how just the attitude and a little bit of just a smile and a hello was all it took to change your fortunes. So I love that you've brought up the importance of attitude. It's attitude and positivity and all these things. It's just everything in business.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
So you're based in Switzerland, like myself. So you are also challenged by the Swiss school system and its crazy schedule. How do you manage two young children and a business around kind of this fragmented workday?
Well, see, that was one of my difficulties when I started. I did not find time to work. My husband and we decided to not use out-of-family childcare. So it was my mom that watched them for a day. And other than that, I was home watching the kids. And in the evenings, I wasn't able to work anymore. I was wasted with twin babies. It's like all I could do is lay on the couch and watch some television. So, and then I went on YouTube and I found this German influencer, and she would work in the morning, like very early, at 4 a.m. She would get up and do the work. And then I thought, if she can do that, I can do that too. So I trained myself over the course of 3 months to get up every month 1 hour earlier. And I end up at 4 a.m. For over a year now. I do that. And now I wake up between 3 and 4 a.m. by myself without an alarm clock. And I'm wide awake. I open my eyes and I'm there, and I go downstairs and I work for 3 to 4 hours. So that's how I can manage. But then I go to bed early too. So I'm totally missing out on the TV shows, which is not really, now if I look back, it didn't really add value to my life. And now with the time that I use for my business, it's just so it's so precious. It's really meaningful, and it adds value to my life. So I'm not missing anything. Yeah. I'm not missing television, especially.
Yeah, exactly. We can get caught up in that trap, can't we? Of vegging out in front of Netflix, and it's so easy to say, oh yeah, I'll just watch that next show for half an hour. But when it comes to doing half an hour of exercise, we tell ourselves, oh, I don't have time.
Yeah, exactly.
We just need to reorganize it in a way that works for us. And I think there's probably lots of people think 4:00 in the morning, but it's interesting to see how you kind of worked up to that.
Yes.
And you've made it work.
Yeah, and if it would have worked the other way, like in the evening, I would have chosen that, but I just wasn't able, so I had to find a different time slot to work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for everybody, I understand, but now it's so much easier to get up like at 4 a.m. Instead of 8. I have a hard time now getting up at 8 or 9. I'm really tired, even though I haven't slept 8 or 9 hours. Sometimes I sleep in, like on Sundays, but I prefer to get up early now, even if I could sleep in. Yes.
Yeah, I think having the kids helps train you to wake up earlier as well, because I never used to wake up this early when I was working. But I always got into my office before I had kids and worked in corporate, that sort of hour before everyone else got in, and you were just so much more productive at that time.
Yes.
And that early morning, I think for most people, not everybody, there are some night owls, but for most people, their willpower, their productivity, their ability to think clearly is so much better in the mornings. So it's great to capitalize on that time.
Yes, definitely. I actually used to be a night owl too. Like after 1 o'clock in the morning, I was really productive. And now it's 3, but from the other, after the sleep, not before the sleep. Yeah, I'm productive.
Yeah, it's funny how we can change.
Yeah, things change. Everything can change if needed.
I would like to ask you a bit about being a virtual assistant, because I think that it's a big opportunity for every entrepreneur to move their business forward, is to get help. There's only so much we can do on our own, but at the same time, it's kind of, what stage do you know it's the right time to invest in getting some help or a virtual assistant? And how do you, I know when I was in the early stages, I was like, well, how do I tell them what to do when it's all in my head? How do you work? Have you got any tips on how to work through that process?
Yes, well, as I know around here, if somebody starts a business, a lot of times it's just the entrepreneur that has his core business, and he or she starts working on it. And with that comes a lot of work that is not paid for, like the administration, like bookkeeping, like marketing, like tool searching, research, I don't know, like all kinds of things that you cannot charge for or that are not paid for. And as the business grows, that amount of work grows too. And normal used to be that would go on to a certain point, and then you just employ a secretary to, I don't know, 50% or 100%. And then you find, or you delegate all the works to her, and you find tasks that would fill that pensum, that would fill the time that she's employed for. But nowadays, or a couple of years with the digital developments in the world, it's possible to outsource that virtually and not hire someone that you have to care for an office and a computer. And it's usually those tasks that take away the attention from the core business. That's where an entrepreneur has to find out, is that something I can outsource? And then I put together a checklist of subjects and questions.
Oh. So one thing I'm quite interested to know from you is, how do you know when the right time is to start to engage with a virtual assistant, and how do you go to that process? Because I know it's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs to grow, is to have help. There's only so far we can take our business on our own. but I know, and it's something that I struggled with in the early days, is like, how do you get everything you do out of your head and delegate it effectively to someone else? Do you have any tips that you can share around that?
Yes, I think it used to be normal process that when somebody starts a business, he or she sometimes is alone and works the core business. And next to that, there is a lot of work that is not paid for, that is not, you cannot charge anybody for that, like the administration, like the even the office management, facility management, the marketing or bookkeeping, things like that. And when those tasks take too much space of the core business, then an entrepreneur has to seriously think about outsourcing those tasks. And I set together a checklist with subjects like and questions that should be answered before a work relationship starts with a virtual assistant, so that this work relationship will succeed. And my experience is when somebody makes the decision and actually hires a virtual assistant and starts outsourcing tasks, that frees a lot of time and resources and energy and opens up a new opportunities for ideas to develop. And in my experience, when that happens with me, like the business that I support starts to grow, because there is more time that the entrepreneur can now invest back in his core business. And also what happens with my customers is that we start with like one task, maybe one subject that is outsourced, and then they gain trust and they see, okay, we work well, and maybe have a thought, did you think you could do it this or that way? And they go like, oh, maybe you could do that too. And then the work grows, the task that they outsource to us. So it's just a matter of starting somewhere, and then it can grow from there. Yes.
I think that's great advice, just to find those areas that are the biggest sort of drains on your time that aren't adding value, outsource there, and then see how that relationship develops.
Yes, and it's usually you can recognize by tasks that get postponed and pushed to the very dead end to be carried out. Those that do not, that one doesn't do with a joy.
Yes.
Those are usually where someone can start to outsource.
Yeah, it's those tasks where you just think, oh,
yeah, exactly.
I know I have to do this, but I don't love it.
yeah, I should, but not today. And then
yeah, exactly. And you mentioned that you have a checklist. Is that something we can share with the listeners?
Yes, I created a freebie, and that can be downloaded. And yes, but like the industry should be spoken about, the tasks itself, they should be discussed, and the communication form, the communication channel. There is even little things like when I receive a message by, I don't know, Messenger or WhatsApp or even email, what time period does the entrepreneur expect me to reply? Some want immediate response, and others can wait a day or two. So that needs to be discussed, because everybody is a bit different. And yes, that adds to the quality of my work. And even if I can't answer, I usually go to the computer or go to the app, and then I say, I will answer you tomorrow morning. Right now, it's not possible. And then they know, oh, okay, she's at it, she's on it, she will get back to me. Yes. Yeah, and then the tools, of course, how, which tools can help working together, management tools, the billing addresses, how it's going to be sent by email or by post with paper. Yes.
Great. That sounds like such a valuable tool. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yes, you're welcome. It helps myself too. I have to go through the list too when I get a new assignment.
So how have you seen your business and yourself grow over the years?
Well, in the beginning, I was just myself. I did the tasks on my own, and then there was two ladies that joined me, and I recognized rapidly that they were excellent in one area, in one specific area. So that meant I could take on more jobs that I would assign to them, which freed my my time to acquire more jobs and more entrepreneurs. It has happened naturally. I have not pushed it too much. I do what I can. I outsource what I can. I have my own virtual assistant too now, which is such a relief on those things that I don't really like to do. Yes. So it all has happened natural. Yes. And the thing is, one of the thing that I thought would be different from the beginning, looking at entrepreneurship, was the money. I thought it was to be more lucrative, which in the beginning it wasn't, because I invested right back into the business instead of paying myself a salary. And now we're at a point that even I get a little bit of a salary. Next to my team, obviously they're paid. But yes, it's very exciting to be at that point now and looking forward to growing more.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I often see people go into business and they think, yeah, in 6 months' time, I'm going to be able to retire to a beach. And it doesn't work that way. It can take a long time, which is why it's so important to know why you're going into this and to look at all of the reasons why this is important for you in the right path, because the income will come, and for some people it does happen within 6 months, but for others it can take 2 or 3 years to get to that stage, because the first 2 stages, it's the sort of creation where you're just developing your business model, finding out who you want to be working with, designing your packages and your branding, all of that really exciting stuff, but that doesn't bring in any income. Then the next stage is what I call the chaos stage, where you're starting to bring in the clients, but then it all starts to, then you really realize what your business is all about. You start investing in your business, and that's the point where you can dip it, but down below the break-even point, because you're investing and you're not necessarily building a profit base. But then how fast you can go through that chaos stage depends on how quickly you can come out the other side. And then from there on in, it's all good news. Your income and profits grow exponentially. But it's that chaos stage where I see a lot of people getting stuck, and without the right clear strategy and having a nice clear process, that can take a long time to get through. But you just have to go step by step and stick with it. As long as it's giving you that fulfillment and you are building some momentum there, then you will come out the other side. And then once you start to go above your break-even point, then that's when it gets really exciting, and then you can grow your profits, get a nice income, and continue to invest and refine your business model as you go forward.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that. I realize I might need some help along the way, but yeah, we're in good shape. But yes, I want to go through and at the other end, past that chaos phase. I think that's where we are right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you're going to come through and accelerate quite quickly now you've got your foundation in place.
Yes.
So thank you so much for everything you've shared. It's been really interesting to learn your story, how you manage to stay productive around children, and what it takes to start a relationship with a virtual assistant. Before we wrap up completely, is there any one last piece of advice you'd like to share with all the other women out there who are building businesses?
Yes. One thing or two things, but wrapped together. There's this one attitude I learned: just do it. Don't be afraid, and don't care what others think. See, I was raised by the thought of my mom. What would the neighbors think? So when I asked her, can I do this? Can I wear that? No, what would the neighbors think? So that made me decide I will not have my life guided on what the neighbors or anybody else think. And that to me makes me more courageous to, of course I have to reflect, what do? I don't just want to be stupid, but not be guided by the fear of what someone else would think. Yes, that's my advice, to just go for it and try it out. And even if one fails, to me, that's a success, because one has tried, and that's a great experience, and one can grow with that experience. Even it might not have been a financial success or success in other ways. Deep inside, it can be a success because one has tried and grown through that.
Yeah, exactly. You see very many successful people who have these a huge house, lots of cars, lots of money in the bank, but they're miserable because those are outer signs of success. It's important to connect with what inner success means for you as well. And I love that you brought up about not caring what the neighbors think, because that holds so many people back. The fear of what other people might think. And if you say it kind of logically, oh, I'm not going to pursue my dream because the person down the road who I don't really know might not approve of it. It's like, that's just nuts. Crazy.
That just makes sense.
Yeah. And I love what I think it's Bob Proctor says, you know, what other people think of you is none of your business. It, you know,
I like that.
Change it. They may think we're amazing, they may think we're awful, but you know, we can't change that, and it doesn't affect anything for us. We really have to focus in on what's important for us and what's going to make the difference for the people that we care about, and move forward regardless. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much too.
Great. Well, Sarah, where can people get in touch with you if they want to know more? I'll put your links below, but if anyone's out there.
We have a website, www.renker-works.ch. There you can get to know us a little better, and our contact is there too. And a Facebook page also called Renker Works. And there is a new Facebook group, but it's in German, and it's called Frauenunternehmen Kanton Bern. So it's more local, German-speaking women in business.
Okay, great. Well, I'll put all those links below so people can just click through and find you. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing so many great tips and wisdom.
You're very welcome. Thank you.